But I do recognise that not all cultures belong on the same piece of land. Do you agree with that? The practices are sometimes too different, whether it's their legal systems, or their treatment of women, their treatment of gays. We don't all belong on the same piece of land.
Well, you look at the numbers that have come to Europe in the past few years. We've taken in 1 million people from the EU, and on the whole, they have assimilated. Germany took in 1 million Muslims in the crisis 2 years ago. The rates of rape, robbery, criminal damage have gone up exponentially, and their prisons are now overflowing with an alien culture. And this is happening all over Europe. In fact, I've written a book on it, which I should get out of my bag
Let's
now.
plug your book.
Let's plug my book. She says, edit this.
Because Trump, when he came over, he spoke very plainly about how African and Islamic mass illegal immigration to Europe was changing and killing our local culture.
Of course, and it's got the annotations at the side. It's called the migrant crime wave.
And where can we publish this book?
It's on my website, janiceatkinson.co.uk, and it has all the statistics that actually the EU doesn't want you to see. It's got the prison populations. Now, Austria, a tiny weeny country in the middle of Europe, population very, very small. 54% of the inmates in their prison are from overseas. They're the people that are committing the crime, the rapes and the criminal damage, and there's an exponential rise in the prison populations across Europe, and it is predominantly from a Muslim and North African background. Now, we're importing these, as you say, these alien cultures. They have Sharia law, they have laws that are very, very different to us. They treat women in a very different way. You know, they behead gays and throw them off buildings. So therefore, when you suddenly import these amount of people, and the MSM at the moment is saying, oh well, yeah, the migrant numbers have gone down. I mean, they've just disappeared. Well, they haven't actually. EU figures, which I published a couple of weeks ago, show that there's still 6.6 million people sitting in camps in Greece, in Spain, and there's 2.5 million that we're paying Turkey to keep people in basically internment camps, because that's what they are at the moment. And although the routes have been stopped coming through Italy, then they're diverting and they're going into Spain, because it isn't. Spain had a Conservative government. Yeah, the Prime Minister did something very, very stupid and the government fell. But I think there was a conspiracy to get the government to fall so that they can install a puppet socialist who's refused to have a general election, and now he's welcoming the boats. So the boats are just literally going into Spain now. Now, I was in Spain a few weeks ago. I went to see the Frontex operations, which actually we weren't allowed to see because we're ENF, and Frontex is the border force equivalent throughout the EU, and we all paid towards that. We weren't allowed to meet the border force people at Frontex, but we did go and see the Guardia Civil, who are the Spanish, it's semi-military, so they're police, but they're also semi-military, they carry guns and everything, and they're carrying out the border force provisions in the south of Spain. And they said last year they had 20,000 migrants that came through. This year they're expecting 40,000, and that was before the Spanish government fell and Salvini stopped the routes going into Italy, and also the socialist Maltese government stopped them going into Malta. So I can expect, I think, expect this sudden surge to go into Spain. And the Spanish figures, crime figures, are now rising, and these migrants are disappearing, and they're headed north. They're headed to France, Germany, Britain, and the Nordic countries. And the Nordic countries, you know, President Trump said, have we got any problems in Sweden? You know, last night in Sweden, and we proved him wrong, because there has been, again, an exponential rise of attacks in Sweden and across, and in Greece. The foreign prison population is enormous, the same in Germany, and the list goes on, and Austria and Italy. And we can't cope with this. Our prisons can't cope with it. Our women should not be able to cope with it. And if you're gay, why should you have to put up with this barbaric and medieval attitude? And what I would say to people, if you don't like our liberal freedoms of speech, our way of life, our culture and identity, come here and assimilate. Until that happens, we have to stop all Islamic immigration into our countries. Let's integrate, make them integrate into our countries, as certain other countries are doing across the EU. And in Hungary and Poland, they have refused to have a migrant quota from these people that are sitting in these internment camps around them. And I don't blame them. And they have got one of the most peaceful societies, and it isn't a rocket science to link the crimes and everything that's happening at the moment with the migrant flow that we've had. And so until such time as we can actually cope with integration, we've got big problems in this country of Pakistani grooming gangs. I mean, there may be up to 1 million girls that have been affected by this, and I feel very, very affronted. And it's not just the past 16, 20 years. This has been going on for decades since they first arrived. Until we get to grips with that problem, there should be no more. But am I anti-immigration? Absolutely not. I want the best and brightest from around the world. We need nuclear scientists because we've not been training our own kids. We need really clever kids from India, China, who are mathematicians, computer scientists, nuclear scientists. Those are the people that we need. And if you add to our GDP, come. If you can pay your own school fees, come. If you can rent in private accommodation, basically, if you can come here and contribute to our GDP, bring your family, then you're very welcome. And we will also look at genuine asylum seekers, but 80% to 85% of the people that are coming into our shores are economic migrant young men who have all left their women and children behind because they think they get through our borders and then they can get their family. But it's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, it's 10, 15, it's the extended family, and that has to stop.